Bonding essay question 1. Let's look at question 1a part 1. It tells us to name two nonmetals in period 2. And they can combine to form a simple compound. So there's a few things to it. First, you need to draw the full electronic structure of the atoms. So this is one of the things you need to do. And then next, you need to name the type of chemical bonding. So for essay, it's always good to list down what are the things you have to do. Some of the questions are hidden within the statement. So 1a part 1, first up, you talk about two nonmetals. What are your choices? In period 2, your nonmetals are as such. You have carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon. However, you must know that neon is a noble gas and it cannot bond. So therefore, the option for neon is out. So you can choose any two of the atoms here, of the elements here. So in this case here, your answers should be the carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, or fluorine, which are here. And you can use it. And what type of bond is present? Covalent bond. So this is for your answers for 1a part 1. If you look at part 2 here, right, they ask us to draw a dot and cross diagram to show the bonds in the compound that forms between atoms of these two nonmetals. So only outer electron shells are needed. So some of the possible answers are you can have carbon, oxygen, carbon and fluorine, oxygen and fluorine, oxygen and fluorine. These are the possible answers which you can come up with. If you have any other ones, you can approach your teachers. So for carbon dioxide, you can see here CF4, NF3, OF2. This is the one that you are least familiar with, okay, OF2. In simple fact, how do I know the formula? First up, oxygen, special number 2, fluorine, special number 1. When you do your crisscross, you're going to get 2. Next up, you can put the oxygen atom in the middle with the two fluorine surrounding it. Look at the special number. Fluorine, special number 1, so it has a single bond. Fluorine here, you have one bond. And special number 2, so it must oxygen here. You have one bond here, one bond here. So 2 bonds in total. So this is the correct structural formula. How do I draw the electronic configuration? Okay, just take note. Oxygen, group 6, special number 2. So 6 minus 2, I should have 4 electrons remaining. So I'll draw 4 more dots for my fluorine. And for my, for my oxygen. 4 more electrons for my oxygen. Being 7, special number 1. So 7 minus 1, I'll have 6. So each fluorine will have 6 electrons left in the outer shell. So I'll draw the 6 electrons in the outer shell. So these are the answers for 1a part 1 and 1a part 2. Let me load up for the 1a part 1b part 1 and part 2. So let me find the picture here. Okay, so for 1b part 1, explain why compounds formed by non-metals normally do not conduct electricity. So in this case here, we're talking about covalent compounds. Okay, so always identify what type of compounds we're talking about. Is it ionic or covalent? So covalent compounds do not conduct electricity because they do not have ion electrons to act as charge. Take note, very important term here, mobile charge carriers. For ionic compounds, they have ions to act as mobile charge carriers. For metals, they have electrons that act as mobile charge carriers. That's why they can conduct electricity. But then for covalent compounds, they do not have any of those. Hence, they do not have any mobile charge carriers. And for B part 2, it has a relatively low boiling point, very simple. So low boiling point for covalent compounds, very typical answer. Little energy needed to overcome the weak intermolecular force of attraction, or sometimes you can say intermolecular bonds. And these are the reason why compounds formed by non-metals, which are your covalent compounds, relatively has a low boiling point.